is it? Where did it go? Where's my, God, where's my, oh, here it is. Let's try it. Let's see if the microphone works. Hey, everybody. Let's see if this works. I don't know. I'm looking through, I'm reevaluating all of my technology here. And I'm thinking that this probably doesn't, is that going to work? I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah. Hi, everybody. What's going on over there? All right, I got my all hooked up now. Leslie Bilbo Plazz here. Zazoo Plazz. My friend over here. I gotta put her up on the wall. Broadcasting from my place. For the Zazoo Plazz report, March 10th, 2024. I went out earlier. I did kind of, I did actually a little reel out my back door. It was beautiful before. Well, yesterday, Saturday, I did one with a duck. There was like a duck, and I was practicing my duck calls. And then today, I just caught the sunset, and it was beautiful. And then I took the picture, and then after, I looked back at it, and the sun, as it was setting, it was like reflecting in the water down there. Where there's a little hill behind my place, and it goes right into the water, and the sun was just hitting it, just at sunset. And it was the most beautiful thing, but I didn't know when I captured it that it was going to look like that. You know, sometimes you have to take just a leap of faith, right? This is kind of my theme for today. As you can see, we're getting ready for St. Paddy's Day. I got my, I found this when I was moving. It's a little, one of those cheap necklaces you get at like the dollar store or whatever. And I used to decorate my house with this, and I just took it with me because I like the pop of green. It's so springy. I've always liked green. Kermit was my favorite, the Muppet Show. And not just because he's, well, frog, and I'm French, plus green, and he plays the banjo, like me. So, yeah, I like Kermit. So, so that's when I'm thinking, Pisces new moon was yesterday, so now we're into Aries with the moon. But it was at 20 degrees of Pisces. It's not too late. I'm going to do my new moon intentions later today. The sooner after the moon, the better. The new moon, the better. You wait too long, and you lose the magic. But I always, at the new moon, I always, set some intentions, things I want to manifest. Whether it's, it could be anything. Financial abundance, just having good energy, having ideas. It depends on the month, and sometimes. Usually what I do is I try to tailor my new moon requests to the energy of that sign, like Pisces. Pisces is the end of the line, right? Because the astrological year actually doesn't start in January. It starts, the Chinese New Year starts February, but Aries is actually the start of the new astrological year. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. It's, the sign of just like when you're just born, early in the spring. My kid's in Aries. That's like go out there and do stupid stuff, like you're just born, right? So that's Aries. But Pisces is the kind of energy where it's like, Neptunian, it's dreamy, it rules. Why do you think they have the Oscars, the Academy Awards in Pisces season? Because it's ruled by Neptune, and Neptune rules all things, to do with acting, the dream world, right? Those things you do when you want to escape from reality. You go to the movies, or you take a drink, or you take something, to alter your world, your sense of reality. But these days, all you have to do is wake up and go out, and just be in the world. And you're like, what? You know, and I'm feeling this because this last new moon, the sun at 20 degrees of Pisces exactly trines my Neptune and squares my Mars. So a trine is it's a triangle. It's four houses, so it's 120 degrees. So a trine is a favorable thing. It's a lucky aspect. Sun trining my Neptune. It's that I can tap into my imagination really well right now, So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's a very dreamy time. It's almost an unreal, surreal feeling. You don't, like you're in the fog, you don't, what's real, what isn't real, and that's going to change. It's like anything, it's like weather. But, it's a good time to kind of, make stuff up and get rid of stuff. Because Pisces is all about the surrender, right? Into the great unknown, all that is. It's like, so, I'm getting that kind of vibe today. And, it's dreamy, it's spiritual, it's creative, it's let go of your ego and be selfless, forgiving and doing, it's like the sign of the martyr, My former spouse here, he's a Pisces. My grandparents were both Pisces. And I've worked with Pisces people, and I get along with them great because I'm a Scorpio, and I have my Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is the sign of, in my sixth house pattern, which is my daily life and my work house, right? I have Pisces in my sixth house of work. And also Chiron, which is my wounded healer, and Ceres, which is like the nurturing sign. So all of that is grouped into my sixth house, So that's like my everyday world, what I do in my, my everyday. So that's why I've always felt like I wanted to work, Saturn in Pisces. A lot of us in Gen X, the early Gen Xers, and some of the late boomers, we have Saturn in Pisces up through like 70, 71. People born maybe around there. I think that's when it changed. But pretty much in the mid-70s, we have our Saturn in Pisces. And it is a sense that you want to, be of service, right? But Saturn wants boundaries. Saturn wants sure thing, it wants to put you in a little box and define things and say, you've got to do this. And Pisces is kind of like, you can't pin it down, it's fog. It's like, and I've talked about this before. It flows, it's water, it's a water sign, right? You can't, it's very hard to define. So having your Saturn in Pisces is forever in your life just trying to go, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know. And that's where Saturn is right now. It's in Pisces. So it's a time of, spiritual awakening. It's a time of, selflessness, kind of not knowing, where it's after Saturn and, the other signs, it's kind of nebulous. It's very hard. But anyway, so that's my astrology right now. I'm into astrology, but I find it difficult to talk about it and understand it like other people. I understand it on an intuitive level, but I find it hard to put into words. And my mom was like that too. But she could do it better than I could. Because she had all her paper charts and her books and things. For me, I have to be online with it. I like to listen, watch videos, and I absorb it, and I talk to other people about it, maybe online. But it's more of a thing where I create, I feel the energy more than there's lots of people out there talking about, the logic of the signs, right? The logic, the brain. With me, it's not so much you're not gonna get, because I can't stay on one topic longer than a couple of seconds. So I'm not the person to sit down and explain astrology. No, but you'll get bits and pieces from me. You'll get, here and there, and then it's gone. But that's why I'm a humorist. I get the vibes, right? That's where, and it's a time some of us, might be getting like psychic flashes. I get, now I'm going to tell my stories. So Friday night, I went to see that movie Cabrini with my friend. She's my oldest, longest I've known friend. And she's also Italian. So she was like the only person that I could think of. I gotta see this movie with MJ. So we went, I got the tickets, and we enjoyed it. It was quite a movie. And then at the end, after the movie got out, we went looking for a place to have dinner, and it was like 9:30 at night. She's like, "Oh, we gotta go to this Italian restaurant. They just closed the kitchen." So she's like, "Come on, you got an Italian friend, right? And you've just seen a movie about an Italian American saint who, she comes and she faces one challenge after another in New York. She's a missionary, right? She has her missionary sisters, and they're trying to help the poor Italians, the immigrants, right, who just come in the late 1800s. She's trying to help these poor people, but she's got all these, challenges, politicians and church leaders standing in her way, men, right? Not only is she a woman, she's an immigrant, right? She's got all these things going against her, but it didn't stop her. She kept going. And every single setback made her even more determined, right? She had a health problem. She, breathing, and she was given, doctors tried to stop her. "Oh, you got 5 years to live." She's like, "Psh, well, get out of my way. I better get to work," right? Nothing is going to stop this woman. And it didn't. And, she had a vision for what she wanted to do. Her faith made her unshakable, right? She was convinced from an early age. You see her, she almost drowned. She's in the water, right? Very Piscean. She's in the water, she's drowning, and, someone is reaching out for her. And she hears this, from an early age, she hears, "Oh, your daughter is, she's weak," and this and that. Or, "She's not going to make it." "Oh, you're not going to make it." And then she can't give up, though. She keeps hearing this, message in her head. "Oh, I can't give up. I can't, she's got to keep going." And things didn't unfold the way she thought. She thought she was going to go to China. And the Pope says, "No, you're going to go to the West first. And then and then she ended up going to China. But it was God's way, right? So sometimes you set off on this mission, you say, "I'm going to go here," and the universe says, "No, you're not going to go that way. You've got to let go of a few things first." And this is like my life story. I don't know. So anyway, my friend and I, we ended up at the Olive Garden, sitting at the bar having minestrone soup and the breadsticks. And, because, she had to have a glass of wine, very Italian. So, we're just sitting there. So, and then I left there, and, I'm driving home, and, sometimes you get this feeling you're being protected in life. So I'm driving home, and it's maybe 11 o'clock, and I'm getting off at my usual exit on the highway to come to my place, and I see, flashing police lights. So I slow down. And then the road takes a turn like this, and I see up ahead that there's this white car, and it's been, obviously somebody hit it or something. There's a guy standing there. His white car was completely dented in, and there's glass everywhere and flashing light, and it looked like it had just happened because the police had just arrived and they put out flares. And so, I stopped and a bunch of people stopped behind me, and I'm like, oh my God, because when I left, I left my friend, I had this weird feeling. I said, the song came on the radio and it was like, what was it, American Pie, and I'm like, oh, that song goes on forever. So I'm like, oh, but I got a vibe from the song, and I'm like, oh, I better be careful. This will be the day that so I slowed down, and so the guy waved me on, and I went by there, and I just had a weird feeling. And then the other weird thing, but if I had been there even a few minutes earlier, right, I could have been in that. He could have hit me. I don't know. And then Saturday, I'm running on my treadmill, and all of a sudden, I don't know, my hand hit. I wanted to put the level of my treadmill up to 9, but instead I hit the speed 9, and all of a sudden, I just happened to be holding onto the thing. I'm whipping along. I almost went through the back wall. I said, I've never run that fast before. I usually cap it off around 4 or 5. But I'm up at 9. I'm like, my feet were going so fast, I almost went through the wall. I said, oh my God. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going down. This is it. This thing's gonna fling me off. And I'm already thinking, where am I gonna land, right? Is my mat soft enough to cushion my landing? And but what happened was, somehow I had the presence of mind to hit like 1, or I hit some button, and maybe it was the emergency stop, but all of a sudden it just slowed down, and I was off the treadmill, and I was standing there in one piece, and I don't know what happened, but something took me off the treadmill and placed me down on the ground, on my feet, unharmed, completely fine. But my heart was racing, a million miles a minute. I'm like, how am I going to do this? It took me a few minutes to get back on the treadmill, but I did, and I finished my workout because, so anyway, and it's the kind of thing where I stepped out the door, it started flurrying tonight. Flurries started coming down. I go in the house, it stopped. That kind of feeling that you're like, we're not in Kansas anymore. So anyway, and this is where I find it sometimes difficult to just be normal, because there are just things that I have to do. I don't know why, but then I go and do them and I feel better. Like this. So I found it, because my Uncle John, I talked about last week, he had passed away at 92, and his service is going to be on Thursday. It's a wake, that he's doing the traditional thing, and I wanted to talk about that before I get into the gospel, and it's just so the gospel today is from John, which is funny because his name was John. But the funny story that I relayed to my son this week, he's like, well, Mom, I want to go to the wake, and I don't think I can stay for the funeral, but whatever. So my oldest son, and I said, it's really strange, but when I was growing up, I said, Grandma used to tell me that when she was a teenager, Uncle John, who was, her sister, my aunt, was going out with him when my mom was a teenager in high school, because they were a few years apart. And my mom would say, he was always there. He would go to, her parents' house, my grandparents' house, and she'd be wanting to be in her pajamas or whatever, doing her hair, and and he was always there, just hanging around. And so, but she said it, good naturedly. He was part of the family, and then, so she's finally, her sister, my aunt, they got married and they moved and got their own place. But then I said to my son, isn't it funny how they all bought their burial plots together, right? All four of them, my parents and my mom's sister and my Uncle John. And so now my mom's going to spend eternity next to Uncle John, who was always there when she was growing up, all the time. He was just always there. And he said, yeah, Mom, that's a funny story. But if anyone who's known my mom would hear her tell this story about, how he would come over and just hang out, and my grandfather would say, hey, you're here again, whatever. Because I don't think my dad, came over that often, but my aunt was, they were young. They were like 19, 20, whatever, 22 or something when they got married. So, they didn't do the college thing. They were just, after high school, I guess they just went to work and then got married. I would say now my mother had a few years head start to get, so I don't know if she's really there, but her ashes are there. So they'll be neighbors now. Come on, folks. You can laugh about this stuff. It's not, we're way too serious about life and death, okay? That's in the gospel today. The darkness and the light, right? Such polarity. Okay. So we got Chronicles, people doing abominations and mocking the prophets, right? This is what the Old Testament is full of. But God is merciful, right? Despite all that stuff that went down in the Old Testament, people laying waste to, and the promised land and all the people behaving badly is what I people, that's what the readings are full of today. People, not having faith, right? People obviously Jesus came, he was the light, the word. He came not to point out all the things that are wrong with us, but to lift us up, right? All we have to do, Pisces season, surrender to our hearts, Stop using our brain so much, which is of this earth, right? Stop thinking just in terms of this life and think beyond, right? Jesus came to teach us that. He came to teach us, setting aside who we think we are, right? Consciously, but go beyond and think, think in terms of in the longer, long run, beyond the next life. That's Pisces, not what's immediate gratification, but rather what is worth waiting for, right? He came to prepare a home for us. He said, this is not it, folks. This is, like Prince said, the next life, things are much easier. But this life, you're on your own. Should have been, that's another song for today. Yeah. I should go back to letting the song come to me when I'm talking. Yeah, let's go crazy, right? Let's get nuts, Okay. So maybe I'll put that song. Because the song that I was going to, that's actually a really good song for today. Pisces, Prince. The song that I was thinking at first was Evil Woman, right? By Jeff Lynne wrote the song. It was their first, so it came out October 1975. I was 10, almost 10 in the US, around Halloween time. And I remember thinking, God, it was perfect for Halloween. Evil, evil woman. It's haunting. So it's got that hook. And all these guys, they could write songs in like a snap. like, oh, we need another song, and that was disco time, right? And it's sort of like, oh, it's International Women's Day. Actually, that's probably a good song now that I think about it, instead of the Prince song. Let's get crazy. That's good. But let's stick with this one because I was thinking, it's perfect. There's no one left to blame. You better get yourself in the very next train, something like that. All right, don't quote me on that. Don't flag me for copyright. But the Gospel of John says, people who do wicked things hate the light, exposes them. But if you live in your truth, right, you want to come to the light. You want to have your good works seen, right, by God. So Jesus was that light. He is that light, right? So we can bring that light in to us to highlight what our virtues, our gifts are, right? Rather than let them just go to waste, right? And I think that's what this song is, if you look beyond Jeff Lynne talking about some woman who shows up in his songs who's, did it wrong. Maybe. Maybe she's, she's not on the right path, in his opinion. We can live the life that God means for each one of us to live, or we can reject that and go after the quick fix, right? The hit, the now, the down and dirty, pleasure, fleeting things, right? So it's like God's talking to humanity and saying, you're evil, evil one. Look at the ways you've wasted my gifts that I've given you. This beautiful earth, look at what you've done. Time to turn things around, right? See the light, come forward and, have your, be seen clearly for the good that you are capable of doing. Jesus isn't saying, like in Cabrini, in the movie, Mother Cabrini, she's, she comes across this woman who is, kind of a woman of the night, and who ends up being like her right-hand person, a close friend. And she doesn't judge her, she sees her clearly for, the life that she's had to live to survive. She says, you're not that, right? You're not that. You're much more than that. She sees beyond, her works, the things that she had to resort to survive, right? She sees that this woman turns into a wonderful, teacher, and she has all these virtues, but the world would have us, beaten down, right? To thinking that we are our deeds, whatever we've done in the past, does not indicate who we can be in the future, right? That's not who we are. Those are things we've done, maybe, but we're not that. You're not your deeds. You're much more than that. So I think that's where I'm coming from this week, It's that ELO, that disco flavor. We've got to, there's no one left to blame, right, but ourselves. It's up to us to rise to the occasion, to step into the light, to, get on with it. That's where I'm coming from this week. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna go make clam chowder because I've got the bacon and all that stuff. I'm getting really hungry. So till next week. Let's see. Is next week gonna be St. Paddy's Day? So happy St. Paddy's Day, and go wear the green, and have a good week. Joy, spring is upon us. And until next week, take care. Don't get blown away by the March, the Ides of March and the wind. Take care. See you next week. Bye-bye.